today we have a special edition of Girl Talk on Talk to Me. Dating, online, offline, now online in your feelings frenzy. Sorry, we are not a match. Move on with grace. That's the conversation that's happening today. I am Brenda the Solutionist, and as I talk all things solution, mind, body, and soul, today I have a special edition that I just had to have because I was in my feelings, y'all. I was reading a post on Facebook, and baby, it got my panties in a bunch. So I had to call my girls and say, can we talk? We need to talk about this. But before we do, we got to go some rules of engagement. This is not and will not be a man bashing session. It will be an opportunity for us to just heal and motivate each other and talk about this sometimes tricky world of online dating. We've all been there. You swipe right with high hopes only to feel rejected or disappointed. But before we dive into this battlefield, I got some tactics that we're going to talk about because it is crucial to understand that in online dating, the number one factor is why. Oh, you. So are you ready to get this talk started? Let me bring to the stage none other than my girls. Miss Focus, James Focus of Love. And my other friend, Miss Robin Hayes. Hey, Robin, how are you?
Greetings, everyone.
It's been a long time since we had some girl talk. Yeah. And, normally on Talk to Me, it's all about the business of doing business. But the reality is, as entrepreneurs, we're all in the online dating space as we search for our purpose partners, our kings, our man of the hour, our all in all, or whatever you want to call him. Right. And sometimes when you swipe right, you can have some really high expectations and you think everything is going great. You talking, you hoo-hoo, you cackling, and then you meet for the first time and boom, there it is. The vibe does not survive. Mm-hmm. And when that happens, you come back and you kind of reassess, you do, and you think, okay, I'm good. But then every once in a while, every now and again, you'll have someone not happy about the ending, and then they become a digital demon. And we, instead of going over, Focus, we don't see you anymore.
Here I come.
We, instead of bashing that person or what they did, I thought we'd have a conversation that would allow for some healing, some understanding, and allow us all to move forward. And maybe some other ladies will learn from this. They don't have that problem. Exactly. So I wanted to lay that context so people would understand why we're even in the middle of the day, in the middle of the week, having this conversation on Talk to Me. Yeah. So I want y'all to talk to me, and we're going to start with the first thing I want to talk to you ladies about is cultivating self-love. I believe that's your secret weapon. I want us to just explore what self-love means to you, especially in this online dating space. But before we do, I do want to do a disclaimer. We're not lawyers, doctors, or Indians chief. This is for the purpose of us having some girl talk. Now, although
for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah. Disclaimer. Mm-hmm. But we want to acknowledge that Focus is a focus of love, is a love coach. Yeah. But I want to be clear, she's not here in that capacity per se tonight because she's here as a fellow journer on the online dating scene. And I often think it's unfair for you, Focus, because men expect you to have all the answers because you are a coach. And they don't allow for the fact that you are a woman looking for your purpose partner as well.
You got it. I love that you said it, and thank you for making me human. I appreciate it. Because I always get that question, well, why are you still single? So lately I've been a little tease. I've been a little devil. I go, because most of y'all jacked up, and then they laugh, right? And they laugh. But thank you so much for that. And it is a higher expectation that I should know, right? So sometimes it's a little tough because you shouldn't have flaws because this is your expertise. But you can see the picture if you're in the frame. So that's why I have you lovely ladies as my village, so I can bounce things off. And you can give me, help me to be sober and be able to see myself in my whole dance.
Mm-hmm. And it was important to me that we didn't villainize the gentleman that was the catalyst for this talk, because what I understand is that we're all on journeys trying to find that love match. And sometimes we don't find the match, but there should never, and I repeat, never be a time when the love match doesn't happen that we attack each other or attack each other's businesses, because we're all of us here are entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And when we show up in spaces for gentlemen, and I've had it happen to me where someone would not be happy when we didn't make a connection. And then they not only want to attack me personally, but they want to attack what I do professionally. And that's where I draw the line.
Yeah.
That right there, that's bad juju. So let's get back to my number one question here that we started with. Self-acceptance. What does that mean to you in this online space? And we'll start with you, Robin.
Okay, thank you. Self-acceptance is kind of like understanding where you are and what your expectations may be, and not overinflate them with things of, fluff and grandeur. So self-acceptance is, I'm here. I'd like to find someone to share with, to, partner with, so to speak, and in order to find some happiness and some growth. And a lot of times, a lot of people are not on the same page. However, you've got to assess and do your due diligence properly in order to find out if it's a match or not. And we can all end as friends, or we can never talk again. That's fine with me.
And and I'm gonna go before I give a focus opportunity to answer that, because when I think of self-acceptance, I think about identifying my strengths and my values and being clear on what that is to me, so I know what I'm bringing to a relationship. And part of my self-acceptance is journaling and meditating and getting clear about me, because one of the things that happened to me recently, I projected onto a gentleman I was dating about my size. I've put on some weight, and although I had sent full body pictures and everything, I was very self-conscious when we met in person, because my weight had gone up by 30 pounds, and I had informed him of this. I had sent pictures, and after we met, he didn't call me back right away, and I felt some kind of way. A few days later, when he called me back, it wasn't because he was disappointed in my size. It was because he had some things going on with his youngest daughter. And so I was projecting based on my own insecurities and my own lack of self-acceptance.
Yes.
And so that can cause miscommunication. But I was happy that we were able to have a conversation about that and work through those issues, even though we still ended up not being a match for a total other reason.
Good point. Good point, Brenda. I'm so glad you said that. And I think one of the total acceptance is, like you said, knowing your strengths. So when I do talk to gentlemen and my thoughts about like cleaning the house, I'm like, that's not my thing. If it's nice and organized, I can maintain it for about a good 30 days, and then we need to bring that maid service back, right? And I let them know, listen, I can hustle and pay for the maid service, but what I can't do is try to keep it together. That's not my strength. You're gonna be frustrated with me, and then I need a corner to be junky and have some clutter, right? And we'll be able to flow. But for the longest, I used to fight that and try to be Susie Homemaker, because my mom was spectacular at that. So a lot of that was the isms and skins that I had within myself. But I had to let myself go in that capacity and just go, we live it. So when I see something a little out of sorts, I'm like, we living, right? And then forgive myself, because I had this image of what I could be. And it just wasn't matching up. I'm not built like my mom. I don't even understand how she had 3 kids, guys. But I used to compare myself to her, like, how she do it? Got up 4:30 in the morning to feed my dad and pack his lunch before he got off. I'm like, that's crazy. I'd be like, look, it's in the microwave, right? Help yourself. See you when you get home, right? And that's not true. I'm exaggerating. I would definitely do that with them. But just all that she had me a lot of times comparing myself. Am I a good enough, a wife and mother, and will I be that kind of wife and mother that men need in this era, given at the time I had a full-time job and an entrepreneur? It's like I couldn't even fathom how these women danced that dance and went to church. It was part of auxiliaries and right?
Right.
My self-care was getting off of me, comparing myself to that old school woman, and allowing me to be where I'm at and cultivated and still elevated, right? Knowing where I got to grow, but not be hard on myself because I'm not that superwoman. I love that song, right?
Right. And that brings me to my next one. Was the question was about, we did self-acceptance, right? Okay, so we're going to go to defining your worth. Do you know your worth? And I was wondering, do either of you have worth statements? And I asked that question because when this talk about online dating, oftentimes I've talked to other women, when you put a like on somebody or somebody doesn't like you back when you're trying to get back, that can really damage your sense of self-worth. Do you have any worth statements, or how do you work through that when maybe a gentleman that you say you like doesn't necessarily like you?
Yeah, I'll dive right in. So on my way to dates, and when I'm talking to gentlemen to get my mind frame set, is one of the things I say is I like myself, I love myself. And I breathe it in. I like myself and I love myself.
Oh, I like that.
And this way it allows me to, yes. And I even sing it. I got a little song on it, but I don't have to sing. I got the rights to this song and all that stuff. But I literally say it, especially when I'm working out, right? Because you see stuff popping out and boiling over with the rise and stuff. So I'm like, ooh, I like myself. I love myself as is, right? Even to go on the way to something. And it helps me shift. So when I get on the phone or I'm messaging and it's my time to go away to something dating, it helps me shift. Then I can, when somebody does jab me or say something sarcastic, why are you still single? With that snarling kind of a, what do you call it? Judgment.
Right.
So they're not poking holes in my soul because I've already built myself up. So that's one of the tools I use, especially when I'm sliding off of mom, life coach, and anything else I'm moving into this soft, feminine being and being vulnerable. I built myself up before I even start that conversation.
You see me turning my head because I'm trying to check these comments coming in on Facebook. I don't know if even one of you can see it as well. One of the things about the self-worth was real important because what I want ladies to understand is that your self-worth should not be determined by the likes or the fact that you are not matched with someone. And I want to keep us moving with this here because the next, hold on one sec, make sure I got this right. Robin, did you want to say anything about self-worth?
Sure. I appreciate what Focus said. A lot of times when you are meeting people and, kind of like in the market for dating, you can be driven by just trying to connect. And you've got to remember that this is a process and you want to be mindful of how yourself is looking to others. So like look in the mirror and say what you're going to say if you answer several questions.
Right.
And, just kind of it out there like, okay, I like Focus said, I love myself. I do what I can. For me, it's more of you got this, you're looking for a partner. And if you're not willing to partner, I understand and it's okay. I don't have to be your partner. You don't have to be mine. But I appreciate getting to know you and getting to learn who you are, as I hope I'm getting to give you what you can find in me.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the next one is prioritizing your well-being. One of the things you ladies hear me say all the time, I protect my peace. And I had to identify at all costs. I had to identify some healthy coping mechanisms that would help me deal with rejection. And one of them that I have is named Donovan West. That's my relationship coach. And I will tell you, I felt so liberated when Donovan taught me about that. You're just not a match. It wasn't personal. And when he broke it down to me, he said that we all have choices, that dating is simply data gathering. And once you gather data along the way, you may gather some data that says, no, you have to know your deal breakers. You have to know what works for you and what doesn't. And once you reach that point, you can simply have the conversation with the person and say, we're not a match, and move on. Because if you're not aligned, you're not aligned. And part of that well-being is having friends that help me stay grounded and will help me do some self-care rituals when my little heart is broken, when maybe a man doesn't realize how fabulous I am. I had to understand that wasn't an indictment on me. He simply said I didn't meet his criteria.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'm not good or that
Right.
I'm not as fit, fierce, and fabulous as I believe I am. It just means for him, I'm
Right.
not a match. It ain't personal.
Exactly.
And he has a right to that choice.
That's exactly right. I love that. I love that. Yeah, well-being. You know, I absolutely practice taking it off. You know, taking off being on the website. When the situation happened, I had a gentleman was in my DMs on the train. You know, I was like, "Oh, sir, not you don't really want to talk to me today." You know, I'm talking to myself, right? I was like, "You don't want to talk to me today." I need to breathe it first, and I waited a couple of days. And I said, "Listen, I want you to think I'm ignoring you. Just getting back from a trip. Give me a couple of days. We'll talk." That's part of that self-care, right? You got to know when you're not in a space to even entertain, engage someone. And I knew I wasn't in that space. So I had to, you know, pump the brakes on that. And then also just having some woosah, some good food, some good naps, right? Take a good old nap in the middle of the day if you can, you know, either have that kind of lifestyle. Go hang out with some friends tomorrow. I met a new friend on a new Facebook page. We're going to go get drinks. You know, shout out to Bahama Breeze. So looking for the, you know, to be an ambassador. Namaste, Bahama Breeze. Because I love that place. I love the happy hour. So I'm gonna go out with you know, a new person that we're gonna become friends and just talk and laugh and, you know, talk about men, talk about our children. And that gives me downtime. And, you know, and I know she knows I'm a relationship coach, but like I love what Brenda always say. I'm not in that capacity right now, right? So I just want to laugh and, you know, and play, and then come home with my child and we watch a movie, right? And eat some good food, cook together, right? So this is all about how I step away from the role of trying to partner and couple up, is to get in my other roles, my girlfriend role, my mommy role, my student role, if I want to read a book, right? So I shift off of that, kind of get off of that for a minute, and that way I can regroup and be, you know, more fresh. Don't always work that neat. And we're going to get to that because that's what we were talking. This is what prompted all of this. I thought I was maintaining it well. And then I realized what Brenda just said. My feelings was really hurt because I bought into the vision that was shared with me. And when I arrived, it just wasn't. It's like for all those that went to that Anita Baker concert and she didn't come out, you bought your outfit, caught a plane across the train and got there and she didn't come out. It's a big letdown. So it was this big build up. And when I got there, and so I had to acknowledge that. And it wasn't that I wasn't so in love necessarily with the person, but with the ideal and the vision of what was created, I was excited about. And as you guys will hear the story more, definitely had to be excited about to go as quickly as I did because the person was very enrolling. And I really think they meant what they said when they said it. So,
Absolutely.
Right? I really do think they meant it when they said it. So it can be a big crash. So we're not going to sit here and act like, right, Brenda, like Robin, that everything is honky-dory and you should just be able to move on. Though some of them give you a nice little jab and uppercut, right? And you're like, whoa, that one really hurt for whatever the reason is. That's for you to work out with your therapist, life coach, with your girls, but allow yourself to be right where you are instead of us faking like that one was like all the rest, because there's always one that might really kick you in the pants. Am I right, ladies? You be like,
and I think that's important when you say that. And I want to put a pin in two things that you said. Number one, I'm not in that capacity today. See, because you are a life coach, oftentimes men have a different perception of how you should behave. People know I'm a business coach. Robin is about taxes. I don't have too many people when I'm dating them asking me about business, you know, so there's not that expectation within the relationship. But when they do ask me about business, as I'm getting to know them, I do make it clear to them, I charge for that. I'm not in that capacity today. Okay. So, and I don't have a problem separating that, because if I'm trying to get to know you, like, and I'll give you some examples. I love when I meet a man, and I'm a Christian, so a lot of the men that I'm meeting, they say they're quote unquote men of God. I love that. Anyway, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother show.
Yeah, you dog too, huh?
You know, okay. You know, I'm giving them the side eye. So, and when a brother's quoting scriptures to me, every other sentence I say, sweetie, Jesus, I know. I'm trying to get to know you. You know, so
Jesus, I know. I'm trying to get to know you.
And when they start talking about business, I'm like, you know, I thought we were on a date. If you'd like to schedule an appointment for a strategy session, I
can pay that $250 deposit so we can move forward and talking about this.
And that usually gets them, you know, back on it, because I've had some people that have pursued me for the purpose of business advice and things. But I'm very clear of that's not my capacity. I'm trying to get to know you for a potential mate. The other thing you talked about is you can't pretend like it didn't hurt, because here's the thing I do know is that when you went to visit the person that sparked this whole thing, you went with good intentions. And I think it is disingenuous for us to not acknowledge, for all the women that will hear this later, when you go to meet a man, even when I go to meet a man, if it's just for lunch here at home, I'm checking out my outfit. Sometimes, depending on how much I like him, I might go buy something new. There is an expense involved in that. I'm going to go get my nails done. I'm definitely getting my pedicure on, especially if it's been a couple of weeks since I had one. You know, because the first time, you only get one chance to make a good first impression. And so I would like to be smelling good, looking good, and on my best the first time we meet.
Correct.
So that I'm feeling my best. It's also about how I show up. Because if I'm showing up to meet you the very first time, my feet jacked up, my hair ain't combed, baby, you ought to reevaluate what you saw me in the first place.
Exactly.
Because I said my representative and not who I really was.
Correct.
We'll talk about that when we get the red flags. But
It's
I just want to put
the
that
cost
in the
that's
well-being.
associated to being ordinary and necessary to do this dating thing.
Hello, it's expensive, and I don't think men understand how much as women we put into preparing ourselves to be attractive for them.
Yes,
there's an expense involved, even for, and I'm pretty much a tomboy by all accounts. I'm not the girly girl. However, even for me, when I'm going on a first date, I'm checking, are my earrings right? Do I have on the best lipstick? Have I, done everything I can do to look my best?
Correct.
And there's sometimes an additional expense that happens with that. So
and
that's part of my well-being, my self-care ritual, because if I'm taking the time to go see a man, be it in my local area, or if I drive to meet him halfway, or if I definitely go out of town,
you gotta be right.
There, and I ain't
right. Your bra gotta be right. Your panties gotta be right.
Well, y'all know
there's a whole secret going on with this experience.
You gotta be right, and you want to take pride in that. And I know for me, the day before, I was in stores for about 9 hours putting the outfit together, and this is not a complaint. This is what you do as a high value woman. And some people say, well, if you always ready, you don't have to get ready.
If you stay ready.
Stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
That's possible. But when you're excited about a possible new love, and specifically if you have certain dates you're going on, like if there's a particular, like you're going to the gun range, or a unique date might require a different outfit. I don't go to the gun range all the time. So I had to look up, what do you wear to go to the gun range? So I went and bought a whole new outfit. The sneakers by itself was $115. The sash to carry, because I didn't want to do a pocketbook at the gun range.
And right there, stop right there for 1 second. You don't spend $115 and buy a brand new outfit to go see a man that you ain't feeling. Okay?
Thank you.
And I think that's the part people don't understand. When us women go, when we feeling a brother, we don't have problem putting in the work to get ourselves ready for it. You know you ain't gonna lose 10 pounds in 2 days, but baby, you're gonna go to fast.
Honey, you gonna look like $1 million. I went to Lululemon. I ain't never been to Lululemon in my life, but my stylist said, here's a sash that's going to match that outfit. Go get this. I said, Lululemon girl. She said, do you want to impress them or not? I said, I'm going. Okay. And I spent $68 for some Lululemon sash. I don't even like Lululemon. And why is there so many L's? But we'll talk about that. So I went in. I got that. That was the sash and the sneakers. We not even talk about the clothes. Right?
But see, that's all part of the well-being, because when you show up, you want to show up in feeling your best and looking your best so that you can enjoy your time with that person. And here's the thing, none of us start out on a new date or a new adventure going, I know this is going to be messed up. Because if you had that thought, you wouldn't spend the money, you wouldn't spend the time, you wouldn't do your nails, your toes, get the wax if necessary. You ain't doing all that. That's, you're doing the least. But it's the thought of new love, and you do it. And then when you get there and things aren't quite like what you thought, You know, that's what we're going to talk about now. Healing from rejection and your emotional armor. How do you really deal with that? You know, what's your emotional armor in the event rejection happens? And I got a slide for you. We're doing it right now. The sharing circle.
Yep.
You got it for men and women. You got to have that circle, gentlemen and ladies, for the people that's going to support you when your heart is damaged. Because here's the thing: when we go on these dates, what happens? I done told you about it, Sebastian. I done told a few friends about it. Okay.
Yes.
And if I haven't, then when I come back, I'm telling you about it because maybe I kept it close hold because I wasn't sure yet. And maybe I told you about too many people, so I ain't gonna tell you yet. Then you get back and you go, well, by the way, what girl did I tell you? So you know, but coming back to that safety circle,
right?
That will now go. I understand. They'll ask what happened.
Right.
There's a no judgment zone.
Exactly.
And focus. And Robert, y'all know I'm that one. I'm always going to find the positive, even when y'all don't want to hear it. That's why I said tonight we're not man bashing. We're going to find. We're going to find the gift in the rejection, because I always say rejection is protection. Because even when your heart's in it a little bit or something, you got it before it got so bad that it would just, crush you.
Right.
So let's talk about how important is the healing or the sharing circle for you?
Yeah. Robin, you want to go first, sweetie?
It's important because you have to make sure you're not crazy or off kilter. You've got to be able to kind of pacify yourself in saying it out loud to others that are not judging. Right. And you also have to kind of like heal your hurt really quickly to kind of like assess, okay, did I do this, and this? I can't believe I spent $115 on some shoes and this was a dud, but I can still keep them clean and do what I need to do on the next day.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't take yourself too seriously. This wasn't a one and done. It's a process. Right. And when you do understand, if it doesn't work out, it's okay. Yeah. Just like a pencil with an eraser, you erase that and you move on to the next one. You take your notes from that. You learn the lessons from that. And you move on to the next. And it's okay. You're going to hit a few bumps in the road before you really get going.
Sure.
So I feel like the sharing circle is important because once I get all of the emotion out, all I get out of the frustration out, I can, kind of shake it off and keep on moving.
Yeah.
I want to say before you talk about the sharing circle of focus, what I love about our sharing circle is we're not yes women. We are off camera, very confrontational in the sense of saying you got to own your part in the dramedy.
That's right.
I talk about when you brought this back to the sharing circle. Was there any part that they asked you to own?
Oh, well, one, normally you guys go, well, wait, I got it, focused, but he's still my part. My vulnerability and maybe even sometimes fault is I want to own too much. So normally my circle go, wait, I heard you, focus. You're right. But also he could have, or he should, right. So I thank God for you guys giving me that balance, because normally I'll take on too much, like I should, and I'll try to size myself up because I'm the life coach. I should have known better. Right. So that's where you guys helped me sober myself. But absolutely, you even told me, I told you, focus, he wasn't the one. Right? I was like, Robert, he had a code of conduct. I mean, I was like, Brenda, he had a code of conduct and a maintenance plan. I love that. He was so organized, and he was very charismatic. And I was like, she was like, I hear you, but he said this and he's done that already. Right. I was like, I know, but he swung back around and apologized. I was like, I hear you. I promise you, I hear you. But I gotta go see. I gotta go see where this is gonna go, because Robin knows. I mean, Brenda knows the backstory. So Robin, I had put AB. Shout out to therapist AB. He put a post up and said, "Hey men, I keep hearing y'all say." I told Brenda this. I keep hearing y'all say you knew your wife the first day you saw her. How? And he posted that, and he was getting a little traction on his page. And I was like, oh, I know where to send this to. So I went to a page for all married people and people intended to be married. And like 300 people liked it. Over 200 people shared their story. So at that point, I was so ripe for a kind of engagement where somebody, as soon as they see you, they're like, oh, right, and that's exactly what happened. So he slid in my DMs. He was like, listen, you're beautiful. I don't want to just date you. I want to pursue you, court you, marry you. I was like, is this it? Is this could be? Because I literally just posted that like 2 days ago,
right?
And the post on that particular page was still running. So it was like, okay, God, were you preparing my heart? Because my first husband said that, and that was a flop. That God told him that I was his wife. Somebody lied, and I don't think it was God. Right?
Yeah.
I was like, I never want to hear that again. And this person didn't tell me it was God. They was like, looking at your page and who you are, blah, 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 date you and so forth. And he moves very fast, asked me to be his woman and everything. I went with it, and I would do it all over again. I'll be honest with you, because for what it was, when it was, it made sense.
It made sense.
This is the part of what Brenda said, collecting data as you go along. What makes sense is that I still be going down that trajectory after everything would happen. I would definitely have needed to pump my brakes and go, okay, we got to slow this way down, right? That's all part of the learning curve. I'm all for love at first sight. I'm all for go ahead and moving with the flow. But once you learn, and you go, okay, let me slow down. So I wouldn't even not do that part over again, because I feel like at those junctions and those conversations, it was going well. Brenda was saying what she was saying. I said, I told you, I totally see the red flag. I hear you. I addressed it. He apologized. We worked it through. Because see, a red flag don't mean end and run. It means address it. And if the person is in denial or nasty or not repentant or remorse or willing to change, then you go, okay, that's really a red flag. I need to back off.
You turned it into a caution as opposed to a red flag. It's a caution.
It's a caution.
And we talked it back and forth. But I will tell you, I never saw what happened coming at all, because I would have never. And I don't know this person, but I never would have expected that of them based on the way they handled you up until they went digital demon, and that's what I'm calling it. So that's on me. But after,
do I need to fly somewhere?
Huh?
Do I need to fly somewhere?
Now that's my ride or die chick.
I know, yeah. You gotta have a right. See, I'm the one that be like, focused and nice now. Robin,
because y'all know Spirit got a $69 flight.
Hey, y'all heard it here. Y'all heard it here on Girl Talk. Look, the next thing we're gonna do. Is the gratitude exercise. And but the whole thing about that here, and I got that up here more, because I would say you got to be grateful for all things.
Yep, I agree.
You got to be grateful for that time when things were good and you had that feeling you were giddy. He made you feel special. He showed that he had the ability to apologize or course correct. So you saw things in him that made you want to go take the trip. And even though things ended up not being a match, that's the part where I say we have to learn to reframe rejection.
Got it.
Because if we don't learn to reframe it, we can get stuck in it.
Yes.
And then you live in that moment because he did or he said or did whatever. And so for me, I've learned to find the gift in everything. I would say the gift is you got a trip and you got to go see somebody that you were starting to care for. Unfortunately, based on things that happened, it ended up not being the trip that you was hoping for.
Yep.
That doesn't make them a bad person. It doesn't make you a bad person. It just simply means that you discovered earlier in your relationship that you're not a match.
Yeah, exactly. I love that you said that. Even when I got off the train, I texted him and I said, hey, thanks for getting me to the train, and thanks, for the round trip. And I meant that in all sincerity, right? Because although what happened, when it happened, pretty much, done. Thank you for the part that I can thank you for. I am going to thank you. Now, I know some people are like, Focus, that's ridiculous, right? Like,
it's not ridiculous, because you should never show that animosity.
And Robin, I need some context. I don't really know.
Do you doing the Michelle Obama thing?
She's taking a high road.
Okay.
Because
I
here's
don't,
the
but
thing,
that's okay.
Robin, what we knew is that Focus could take the high road because we knew you was gonna get in the gutter. So we didn't have to do that.
Don't let
See,
me pull this in the ponytail.
No, I'm not. If I ever get bad, I'm like, if I want somebody hurt, I ain't calling Focus. I'm calling Robin.
I'm gonna talk you down. I'm gonna talk you out.
I'm gonna call Robin.
I mean, we're not gonna do nothing to get anybody's freedom taken away from them. We just gonna ask some questions and do some responding. I mean, I'm not fighting nobody. I fight with Ken.
I got you.
But I mean,
come on.
Yeah, you know.
But no,
let me do their taxes.
And let me do their taxes. They're gonna be going. The IRS gonna be looking for them. So let me just say, because this sounds scripted and it might people start feeling it. So there was nothing physical to happen. So let me say that.
Nothing.
Nothing physical to happen. It was more a mind's. It was a lot of mind gymnastics. Let me say like that. A whole lot of wordplay and word salads and changing of plans. So like we never got to the gun range. And you're right, Robin. I had Brenda. You said, I told several people we going to the gun range. I'm so excited. I told my son. I told this. So it also creates a lot of disappointment when we to do something and people don't keep their word or don't follow through for whatever reason, and they don't really tell you why they changed their mind. Which is, listen, you have every right to change your mind, but it gets difficult when it's not being straight talk. Because straight talk leads to straight, understanding. What was our title of our
the gratitude
exercise and reframing rejection.
So this is what I was able to do even on the train ride coming back. It was like, okay, I learned what I learned. Had I not gone down, this would have went maybe another month. I would have got even more emotionally tied, soul ties as well. And we would have spent even more time together. It would be even harder to let go. Right. And to move forward, given that. So that was one big thing. Also, I got to see my cousins. We hung out for a couple of hours. They were only 10 minutes away, right? Which was really perfect. I'm going over, 3 different states. So it's something I wouldn't even recommend people doing. So as putting that hat back on, right, Robin, as a life coach relationship, I wouldn't have recommended. However, because my cousin was this away, and because I do what I already do, which is I always send my circle the picture of the person, their name, their address, their phone number, where we're going to be. And in this case, he picked me up from there. So that for me was a nice covering. You know what I mean? I was able to set and create some dots here, if you will. We had a lot of conversation too. So although we knew each other for a small period of time, we talked about a lot of deep things. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it also was that level of connection. Not excusing. You can take this for what you will. I'm just telling you what made me be a yes, to go. For some people, it takes less. For some people, it takes more. That's up for you.
It takes more because for me, Focus, I'm that one before I even go somewhere. I need a copy of your driver's license, your birth certificate, background check, toenail prints. I'm like, I ain't playing. I ain't playing. Because people coming up chopped up and body parts being found all over America. I'm not trying to be that one.
No, things happen so fast.
Yeah.
And mind you, I hear you, Focus. I'm not discounting. You
Yeah,
had a lot of contingencies there. However, I'm more reserved. I need several video conferences. I need to see your license plate. I would like to see your driver's license so I know who the hell I'm talking to. Because if you don't look like this picture, I'm turning around and going. I mean, I get it, but everybody has a different safety level of comfort. And I get it, but I'm more cautious than not. I've told you my story. I've lost a friend from some foolishness, and I'm not doing that no more. That's why I asked you, do I need to put a ponytail in this and come on up there? But since I don't, it's just a matter of understanding. Now, the things I do appreciate, you will let people know. You keep a tight circle, and there's always an escape to the situation. So that makes me comforted. However, it wouldn't have been me.
And that's the thing too, because even though you say, and we've talked about for my own situation where I had a gentleman that was vetted by my family. He knew my family, and I still ended up in a bad situation with someone that everybody knew, background check, everything checked out. And you don't know, and more women are killed from domestic violence by someone that quote unquote says they love them than anything. So, I think the fact that
3 a day right now is
3 a day. And so I think it's important that when you're thinking online dating,
Right.
And people need to understand that women are taking chances when they go. And if a woman comes to another state to see you and she's put in the time, she went there intentionally. It's not a scam. That's someone saying you, sir, has displayed some type of behavior that led her to believe that you were trustworthy.
Correct.
And I wish that they would honor that when we give them that much respect and trust, that is that based on their behavior they've earned, that even if things go south, they could honor that.
Correct.
You know, and not feel put out.
Correct. And then this is where the mudslide slinging starts.
Yeah.
You know, I paid for your train. Thank you. But I caught
supposed to.
4 hours, you know, right.
I'm coming to see you. I ain't coming to see somebody else.
Right, exactly. And then and the person was like, well, you got a free trip. Free for who? I just told you how much money I spent. I literally spending money for my daughter. I had to pay $50 to get to the train, just one way, and another $50 to get back. That was half of what you paid. Right?
So you ain't even really paid for nothing.
Online dating, just like dating in person, it's an investment to date another human, especially nowadays.
So I'm fine with what I had to pay. He would have never known those numbers except throwing it at me. Well, I spent such and such. Really? Well, let's keep talking. Because right now, if we doing tit for tat, you owe me a check. Because the amount of money I just put out already. You know what I'm saying?
He couldn't handle all this experience. That's all. He couldn't afford all this experience.
Like,
I mean, come on now.
You know what? I can tell y'all, I still remember I went on a date about 6 months ago. And when I arrived at the restaurant, it was summer. Well, it was last summer. I arrived at the restaurant. I had just got my nails and my toes done and my hair was done, my curls. The man looked me up and down and said, "You are gorgeous, but I can't afford you." And my first thought was,
you have a good time with your water.
I showed up this way, which means I can afford me. It was in your pocket. And even if we got together, I'm always going to be able to afford me. And I don't think sometimes they even think about that, because if you are, especially, I think sometimes men don't think about how much women do spend to look good for them.
Exactly.
You know, when I put on a full outfit, now I got on my Victoria's Secrets, and I got my hair, my nails, that's several hundreds of dollars. But here's the thing. I don't spend that because of him. I spend that because of me. That's my due diligence to take care of myself. And it goes right back to well-being. I like getting my nails and toes done every other week. And that's in my budget right now, with or without a man. And so if a man comes on board, I don't plan on stopping that.
Yeah.
Because I'm already maintaining that on my own. And I think, you know, when they have to say, well, they'll say things like, well, you're too expensive or da-da-da-da. We haven't even got to that part yet, you know, and you're not even sure what it takes for me to look like this. But okay, I can see that can be a concern if you have money issues. I don't have that. So I think those are the things. That's, for me, that brings us into the next thing, which is spotting red flags and setting boundaries. Your battle shield. Why is that? Because if a man tells me I think I can't afford you, I'm like, baby, you're right. If a man tells me that I don't think I can satisfy you, baby, you're right. Because if you think you can't satisfy me, you're right.
Sure the hell can't.
You can't satisfy me. You're right. I'm not going to argue with you. And so those are the things that we say. It gets my red flag radar all up. I'm like, look, there's my reframing rejection. It was down there. I was like, but I know I had a slide for that. Where'd that go? But anyway, red flag radar, girl. Let's talk about the red flag radar.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I think sometimes we see the red flags, then they become caution flags, and then they go right back to red flags. At what point do you honor yourself and accept the red flags and move on? Let's talk about that for a minute. We'll start with
let's start around.
Well, Brenda, honestly, I'm colorblind. So if it is a red flag, I'm running from it. But I know all my sisters out there don't do the same, and I get it. But once you've been hurt, or once you feel like it's going down the wrong trajectory, you've got to kind of make a decision. And it's not necessarily a fight or flight kind of thing. It's more of a, do I have the energy or capacity to deal with this foolishness?
Yes.
And that's a quick turnaround and recovery for me. I can't speak for other people.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, the radars are out there. We know, we see other people. We watch TV, we watch videos, you watch TikTok. More than you'd like to admit to. But if you see the same thing happening to you, why do you shut off and not call it what it is? That's like, I believe in the old way of calling it shell shock instead of PTSD, but that's my choice, not everybody else's. And I don't knock anybody else. But for me to be okay, if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, I think I'm going to call it a duck. And if that duck is a dud, I'm done. And we're going to pass it over to Focus.
I think Britta was getting ready to share.
Okay. No, I was going to say, for me, the red flags is I've been called wipeout, and I understand why from my relationship coach, because for me, if I see a red flag, I exit stage right so quick, my nail polish will fall off. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I ain't playing, because I have a low tolerance for foolishness.
Yeah.
You know, I'm 61, I'm about to be 62, and I'm this. The next man that touched me will be the last man that ever does. So this brother, he got to be a bad boy. I ain't playing with the Sims, and I ain't playing with the wishy-washies. You can't make a decision. I'm not the right woman for you. I don't want a man I can walk all over. So it's a red flag for me. Like I said, if someone says I can't afford you, or it's a red flag for me for a man that discounts my opinion or my thoughts. It's a big red flag for me. I had a gentleman tell me, I know you're a talk host, but you talk too much. Oh, baby, wrong one. I'm not going to stop talking, so I'm definitely not the right one for you.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and you have to know, but that goes with understanding our own deal breakers.
Right.
And the things that work for us. You know, Focus, you, when we first met, said I was walking in my masculine too much. I've been in the Marine Corps 20 years having to do it. Man, it takes a real man to bring out my feminine.
Yeah.
That's not something everybody's going to see.
Yeah.
So it's a red flag if I'm with a man and he's already telling me to put braces on my brains or to shrink and be less than who I am.
Exactly. I totally get that. We could do a whole show about red flags, but just to tap here, you know, when it comes to red flags, first of all, my first, inclination is to address it. Because men are from Mars and women are from Venus. So my perception of a red flag could indeed very well be. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to say, here's what I see. Is this what's happening? And then give them an opportunity to go, oh, no, I meant this. Or, yeah, you're correct. Right. So that first of all, I can get it squashed that this is indeed a red flag or caution. But also I want to allow a conversation. Right. Here's the conversation like this. And I go, well, here's what because one of the conversations was, do I have to meet your family? I said, given I'm coming across 3 different states and never met you, it's definitely in play that you meet my family. Now, here's what I want to guarantee you. You meet my family don't mean we got to be together for the next 50 years. My goal here is not to lock you down. My goal here is to make sure because I'm coming across 3 states. That's the goal here. I want to make sure you understand what's the goal. It is not to make you feel more obligated to keep the relationship going, because I know women and men do that. Let you meet their mama, right? And you're nowhere near that. You're like, oh, wait a minute, I don't want that deep connection yet. So I wanted to make it clear to him that's what it's not that. But he still felt like, well, I'm not a criminal. I said, you know that. I don't know that because I ain't never meet you. But it's not even about you just being a criminal. It's just about I'm coming to a whole nother state. It's in play that my people is 10 minutes away and they know who I'm being with, right? I said, I'm sure you did that, given you got a daughter, you got a mom, is only right. So we just going to let that be. Now, some men, you know, may or may not got that or said yes. Like Frida, we all know my girl Frida. She said her now husband was so upset. He would not let her take her to the door for like 30 days, 6 weeks. And he's like, what do you think I'm a serial killer? She said, yes, I don't know yet. I'm trying to figure it out.
I'm you know, my child is 23 years old. And as I've been meeting men, they're not coming to my house. You're not meeting my child. If you're not going to be significant in my life, There's no reason for my 23-year-old to meet you, let alone if I had little kids. So, that protection factor is there, but I want us to move on because we're getting up into the hour. Check this. How about boundary boot camp? Let's talk about boundaries. Yeah. And I'm talking about having clear communications that would allow, even before you travel those 3 states, to know that these are the safety measures I need to feel comfortable. And are you willing to help me maintain my comfort level? For me, if that, and he did, because I know, based on what you said after we had this talk to do this,
definitely a gentleman. He was definitely
if a man told me no, that's a trip I would not take.
Correct.
Because you already said that you would not honor my safety measures.
Right.
And you ladies know, and people listening know, I have post-traumatic stress disorder. I've been diagnosed with that. So having that diagnosis, I take extra precautions. And someone that didn't understand that would not be someone I need to align myself with. And I will tell you that I met a gentleman who, even to this day, if I see him, I smile. We're not a match, but when I tell you this brother held space for me, when I had a panic attack, I had never had anybody before or since hold space for me like that gentleman did. And I said, if every man in my life would treat me the way that man did, with meeting me in 2 days, I'd be the happiest woman on the planet.
And I love that you said it. Thank you, because people keep saying things like it's too much, too soon, it's too fast. It's relative. It's relative because, like you just said, never before and haven't since. And in 2 days, he was able to give that to you. So somebody's thinking, listening to this, like, well, how much time, right? And, some people say, well, they ain't coming to my house for 6 months. They probably ain't lasting. I'm gonna tell you that right now. They're not, because first of all, we're in the popcorn, syndrome here, but also too long can be too long. It can be wrong too. So too long can be, and too much too soon could be wrong too, right? So it's the dance that you're looking for. Like, how can we balance this out? But I know we're up against the hour, so I want to talk about the boundaries. So the boundaries that we had was making it known I'm not coming to be intimate on the first time, right? And we had to have that conversation a couple of times because he was bargaining. Well, can't we at least do? I'm like, no, I want to have this beautiful story for both of our daughters that are teens. That you were a gentleman, we were able to wait, we were able to take our time and get to know each other. So we had to have that conversation a couple of times because we wanted to negotiate. And I was like, I'm sorry, it's not a negotiation. So if you think we need to do this another time, I'm totally okay with that, right? And so once he realized that, he was like, okay, fine. And then, he definitely was a gentleman when I got there and everything, but that's part of one of the boundaries, Plus he had shared this amazing code of conduct. Brenda, I was telling Brenda about it, which is unless the person abuse you, cheat on you and verbally abuse you, that's the only time, you break up with them, which I thought was a fantastic idea. In the church, we had the 3 A's: adultery, abandonment, and abuse. So I told the guy that was a line. But on the way back, that last day, it just got real radical and weird in the communication, and we never did go to the gun range. We also were supposed to visit the mobile homes that he said he was getting, and to project that this is where we would be living and move down to Virginia. It was a lot of fantasy, or not even fantasy, future projecting of what we were going to be together. So that day was a real disappointment. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, how I'm going to process this? One, I was talking to my girls via text and conversation. Like, look, I'm just going to ride it out, whatever it's going to be. Let me just get to this train and get home safely. We'll unpack. But then the silent treatment happened after I got dropped off the train, right? And the purpose of us talking about this, the whole thing really was making sure you don't bring it back into social media or in the public eye, to work through it, with your girls, your therapist, your life coach. And that just didn't happen. I was throwing out, now the way I was posting was really cryptic, so it didn't point out specifically any particular person. But then it got a little more nastier, so it went a little further than it needed to. So I even apologized to him. I want to say that out loud in public. I said to him, I apologize. I went too far. You and I know, and because you and I know, and you're in the circle know, that was enough to embarrass you, and that was not cool. So the other folks that's reading the information, they didn't get it. But it don't matter. I knew my intention. I was pissed off. Like, dude, you made this whole thing and this whole life that we were going to have together, and it was gone in 48 hours. So first I was really sad, like, what even happened? And then I got angry, and I was like, really? Oh, that's how we going to do. And you can hear what you want to hear. But as a Scorpio, it took me a whole lot of seminars, workshops, fasting. to know when to bring my stinger or not out, right? So that's a
Mhm.
lot of pressure for me as a life coach,
Mhm.
mom, sister, daughter, and all like that to process. And I failed. So I was definitely poking him in private places where only he and I and a few people would know, but it still wasn't cool. So I
Right.
even apologized to him, not cool, right? Now, unfortunately, he went over the top and he plastered my pictures everywhere.
I
Where
saw that.
even where the people that I was poking at who had no clue. So everybody kept saying, "Where's this coming from? Who is this person you were talking about?" So why did I say any of that? Because you think you can handle something, it can trigger somebody to go 3, 4 more levels. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
You gotta be
So
careful.
you got to be careful. So you don't even know where they're going to go. You think all it's going to do is because it was
Mhm.
like a private dig, and it didn't have
Mhm.
to really expose. But he got
Mhm.
so upset and angry, he exposed it
Mhm.
all. And then, unfortunately, his own private group gave him his ass. They gave it back to him like, "Hey, why are you? Why do we need to know this? Why
Why
you
do we
even?"
need to know this?
So then it
Yeah.
made him look bad. Then
Because
I
a
really
hit dog or holler, that's why.
That's not a hit dog or holler.
But
But
I'll
you
be
know
honest,
what?
I felt bad then because now I'm
Right.
like, damn, I'm hurting not only a human being, I'm hurting his business because now he's acting out. Not me personally, right? This is his own
Right.
decision,
Mhm.
but I'm owning my part in that. Wow, I set this guy off. He's so all in his emotions now.
Mhm.
He's jeopardizing his own business. Now I'm feeling personally bad. Like, oh man,
Mhm.
I should have set my behind down for 2 seconds and just got myself together, right? So this is real talk. We talking real talk with Brenda, right? And,
Yeah.
and that's how I felt as a person. Never mind the life coach, the mom, the sister. From human to human, as much as I feel like, well, I know he abandoned me coming home and ignored and act like I wasn't part of his responsibility to make sure I got home.
Mhm.
Then for me as human to human, I didn't do that part right. And that's what I want to take responsibility. And I apologize to him already several times. He ain't really trying to hear it. He's probably still too angry. But when it comes to it, and it comes to it, you know what I mean? And Brenda, go ahead. I'll let you
I
take
think,
over.
but that's why I wanted to have this conversation because I think it's important for women to think that sometimes it is worth just
Mhm.
letting it go
Yeah.
because you never, even when people have codes of conduct or they paint a picture that's so pretty you can't wait to fall into it,
Right.
the real them can come out.
Yeah.
And what I do know is this is that I always pray when I'm dealing with them that God show me who they really are.
Yeah. And I got that from you, Brenda. I do
Mhm.
that now.
Show me who they
Show me
really are. Because here's the thing, the gift in all of this is that what if this person had have hid that side of themselves for months and 6 months into it when it's not so easy to walk away? They have this explosion and you're going, who are you? I'm sleeping with the enemy.
Correct.
So for me, I was glad that it came out this early.
Too.
And like I said, I was shocked because I
Mhm.
would not have expected this from this person, not the way that they
Yeah.
purport to handle themselves. That was
Right.
a disappointment for me, and I wasn't in relationship with them because I held them in such high esteem.
Yeah.
And I still don't villainize them. I just simply
No.
think, like all of us, we're all trying to figure this thing out as we
Yeah.
try to find our perfect matches.
Yeah.
And this didn't happen to be a permanent love match, but there
Yeah.
was some really good things that came out of this. I would
Definitely.
say for me, on the outside looking in, it was so good to see you so happy and excited
Yeah.
about being in a relationship.
Yes.
It was exciting to see you put in that much effort to
Yeah.
go and spend time with someone. It
Mhm.
was exciting even when you came back and even after things didn't go so well, when
Yeah.
you were talking about taking a step back, giving time for the dust to settle so you could have a real conversation. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, the other person wasn't in
Yeah.
that same mind space. And
Yeah.
that's something we have to acknowledge too, which takes me to my almost last to the final side was the power of no. No is a complete sentence, y'all.
Yeah.
If you don't align, you don't align. And that's okay. Will it be hurtful? Ladies and gentlemen, yes, it may hurt. But no is a gift you give to yourself. It's
Yeah.
just next opportunity waiting, baby. That's what no is. No, next opportunity waiting.
Yeah.
Because although this didn't work out, what I do believe and I decree in
Yeah.
Jesus' name that the man that is right for you, focus, will show up. He will
Yeah.
respect you. He will honor you. He will not make you feel abandoned.
Yeah.
It will not get to this point.
Yeah.
And like I said, at no point do I want anybody to think I'm villainizing this gentleman. It's just saying that you guys have come to a place of data gathering that indicates that you two are not a match.
Correct. Yeah.
And what I hope people take away from this whole conversation is that there's no perfect road. It's a process, but we don't have to hurt or harm each other if the process doesn't go to its expected end. We can still be civil. We can still be respectful. We don't have to attack each other. And we definitely don't need to attack each other's businesses.
Yes.
That's a bridge too far for me.
I agree. Thank you for sharing that, Brenda. Thank you for creating this space. I do want to say out loud, he did acknowledge that he abandoned me. He did apologize for that, along with, but the end of his apology kind of sucked away the apology, if you will. But I do want to acknowledge that he did apologize. That was not okay to just drop me off and not make sure I got home. I do want to say that, out loud that he did that. But yeah, our personalities, because and you probably, when I say this, people probably like, yeah, right, focus. But when I'm dating a gentleman, I can be kind of chill, take a lot in, submissive, just like kind of laid back. And that was our vibe at that point. But when I got there, he kept poking and digging and saying like pot shots. So I even said on Tuesday, and we're wrapping this up, I just want to conclude this way. I even said on Tuesday, the first day, I said, hey, you forgot. My love language is words of affirmation. He put the bags down, came over, grabbed my hands, looked me in the eyes. I apologize. I'm being too curt. It's not okay. I'm going to honor your love language. So beautiful. Mm-hmm. But by Wednesday, we're hurling even more pot shot. I'm like, hey. Now, remember, I got two older brothers. I'm an athlete as well. I done been pushed down and shoved on the ground for any reason and no reason at all, right? So I'm not this damsel with distress. So then I think that then kicked me in a different gear. Because fellas,
please, I need to back up just a minute. He did not push you down and shove you down. He didn't put his hand on you. Okay, we need to clip. There was no physical altercation. This gentleman was a gentleman and did not put his hands on her in an unkind way. But we don't want to start no rumors or have nobody do no sound bites.
Thank you, Brenda.
And I want to give him props for that too, because we talk about he was a gentleman as far as his hand. He did not touch you in an unkind way.
Not at all. Exactly.
Thank you.
Right. So when I made that statement, in other words, I'm a rough cookie, right?
You're talking about something that happened as you were an athlete.
Correct. You got it.
You know, the internet will take one thing and drag you for filth and drag you, and we ain't doing that. Okay.
Yes, we are not doing that. Well, just the banter just changed a little differently. That it was more snarling, and I think his expectations of my comebacks probably startled him. Sure, hit his ego as well, because up to that point, he didn't know me that way. Right. And then up to that point, I didn't know that he throw pot shots. So I think he got comfortable. And I'm like, hell no, that's not how this gonna go down. I'm sweet, but you're not gonna shrink me either. I'm sorry, be confused. And so I think that banter just didn't go well. And then by Thursday, completely was shutting down. So I was like, listen, let me get my train. Let me see if I can get my train a little earlier. But the package he brought doesn't let you change the train. So I didn't want him to have to pay a whole nother train fare or anything like that. And my folks, my people, I thought was all at work. So that's kind of how that whole dance, what I want in every detail. And my goal to this conversation, as well as Brenda's and Robin, the goal is not to trample any one person. The goal is to say this kind of stuff happened. And as I'm going to put my hat on for a second, as a relationship coach and a life coach, many people sit down with me and go, focus, I don't want to date no more because I was hurt. When? In 1980, yo, man, you got, right? Stop.
You got to recover from that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you got to recover from that. It's too much of your life taken up from being hurt and bitter and upset. Things are going to happen. I'm sorry to the brother Namaste that it went that way. And he raised on his own page, and all the women in his page is like, what are you doing? Why are you telling us? And I felt horrible. I'm reading the comments like, oh, dude, please just stop. Just stop. Yeah. Somebody go take his phone, and thank God his admin took the post down and everything. Because at that point, what he was attempting to do, which was to vent and get out and let them know about me, actually backfired. Right. Yes. But you can't really do that to a woman anyway, to a certain degree, unless she's like, what's that chick name? Red something or another. Most people want to see women as like kind of cool, chill when you attacking her. So that's the wrong thing to do, brothers. to go post. We saw what Keke Palmer her do. You can't really do that to women, especially some women that look pretty cool. They chill, wholesome, or whatever. It's just gonna backfire. And far as ladies, don't do it either. Heck, fight on text if you have to, voice notes, and on the back channels, and work that thing through, because you can definitely hurt not only that other person, because that's also what made me feel bad. I was telling Brenda last night, listen to all these women. Now they feeling insulted and uncovered because this guy's supposed to be matching them with other people. And this is what he did with his match. So it was losing his credibility, making these women and gentlemen that was in there lose hope on the possibility of why they even came to it. So I was like, oh, this is messed up. This was not, I saw something different, and he did too. That we can merge our two worlds, because this is what we do. We help people love, fall in love. We could be a power couple, is what we saw. And only days later, we end up, causing a hot mess, right? So lesson learned about our emotions, being able to reframe it, being able to, process it in a quiet space and not on social media. So lesson learned. And I don't even put my relationships on social media at all for that reason, period. But that just got sloppy. You know what I mean? That got sloppy. Brenda, you want to, Robin?
And I would say, for me, the whole thing was I wanted to have this conversation, because for the other women out there frustrated, and there were a lot of women that were indicating that they were discouraged because of this. But here's the thing. That's part of, although this got messy, this is part of the process of finding the love that you believe you deserve. You're going to have to collect data. You're going to have to get to know each other. And one or two things are going to happen. You're either going to go, no, this is not a match. And you move on, hopefully, without drama and without berating each other or hurting each other's businesses. Or you're going to actually find that love match and hopefully get your happily ever after. But even if you move into that, this whole incident shows me the importance of communication. I always say that if we can communicate and set an intention for ourselves, even at the beginning, and I do this when I date people, and I say, you don't have to ghost me. If for any reason you decide I am not a match, I'm a big girl, just tell me, Brenda, I decided that you're not my match. That doesn't make you bad. And I won't feel bad about myself because you've done me a favor. I'd rather have you walk away and tell me I'm not the woman that you want in your life than to be with me. And down the road, I'm just a placeholder.
Right, exactly.
How many times have people done it because they don't want to hurt feelings? I had a gentleman just the other day who called me and said he wanted to get to know me. I said, what caused you to want to connect with me? And he said, well, you look cute on the thing, but that was not the right thing to say. It wasn't about I was attracted to you or I wanted to get to know you. I was just another one of the cute girls on the thing. I knew right away that that's not someone I'm going to be spending a lot of time with. So it's about being clear. And I told him that. And he says, okay. And he said, I agree. He said, wow, you're really chill. I said, yes, it ain't personal. Right. I don't. And he said, and this is the part that just made me smile. He said, yeah, because I usually don't date big girls. But baby, we ain't going to start today.
Well, that's the note that popped off everything, because that was my concern about being catfish when I put that up there about being catfish, asking for the 360, right? Because I did not realize he was the size that he was. And literally when he walked into my folks' house with flowers, thank you very much. And I was like, I was taken aback, like, oh. And I text one of my girls, I was like, oh, wow, he's not what his picture is. He's overweight. She said, are you okay with that? I said, I'm not okay with not being told. It's the main thing. But I know I need to shed some weight. I need to shed 30 pounds. This might be something we can do together. But more importantly, it's an integrity issue for me. It's a character issue. I'm going to see you. You've been asking me to see you. So why wasn't that completely revealed? Because the one picture I have is very slender. The other one was a little thick. This is about 60 pounds over the thick one. And I'm like, now I'm frozen. But he's charismatic. He talks to my people for about 30 minutes. So I'm listening. I'm trying to decide, am I still going? Right here, I'm like, do I want to do that? So we got to be truthful on that as well. So we try to indicate. I try to catfish him too. You know how when people get
right, they get their feelings. But you know, that's important. That's why I say for me, I tell people my weight down. I am 248 pounds, 0.8. I ain't ashamed. That's who I am. That's part of self-acceptance. There was a time when I could have said that number out loud. And that was because see, if you can't love me where I am now, and I'm telling you, I'm working to get back down to my weight because of what I did, then it's not going to matter. But here's the thing. That's about preferences. There are men that say I'm too big. There, when I was at the other side, I had a man tell me I was too skinny. So, you know, it's preference, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I make sure I tell people my height and my size. I'm 5'9.5", so I carry my weight well. But at the same time, I don't get upset if someone tells me I'm not cute enough, I'm too tall, I don't have the right hair, because that's their preference. And as long as I know that, then I can keep getting my heart in before I get my feelings hurt. Here's my final slide, ladies. It says, healing requires work. Remember, finding love is about building confidence and creating a safe space for growth. You may need help to equip you with the tools for an empowering online dating experience. Let's transform those negative experiences into stepping stones for fulfilling love journey and guide us all towards a more confident and fulfilling future. I hope we can do that, because even in the negative, you can find the gift if you choose to look for it. And I'll go back and reiterate the gift that I see. You were given an opportunity to feel special. You had a gentleman that told you that he could provide some things, and for a while it looked really good, but then when it wasn't good, it just wasn't good anymore. And you've decided that based on that, you're going to take a hard pass. And guess what? That is okay. And that's part of the process. They say you're going to kiss a lot of frogs before you find your prince. Well, it's now time to do Ariana Grande style and say, thank you, next.
I agree. I love having my I know Robin's still processing this, so we're going to have to talk afterwards. So she wants to go tell, she like, I'm
opportunity to say her last words.
She like, I'm missing something here. I'm undecided. I don't know what's going on. Right. And thank you.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
Good. Thanks for being here, Robin. I appreciate it. And thank you, Brenda. Brenda's also awesome with reframing things too. So I really appreciate how she'll reframe it in a way that allows you to heal instead of just villainizing the gentleman and going back and forth and all like that. You know, so you got to have girlfriends like Robin, Frida, Brenda that you could talk to that wants you to win. Because I had one girlfriend, she ain't going to even know about that much of it because she's already bitter towards men. So I don't want to make her fall. I don't want to block her door and get even more ticked off by men. So I need a girl, child. We had a time, but we just wasn't a match. That's all she's gonna get because I want to protect her from herself, right? So you got to know who's in your circle that you can go ahead and download and get things processed and then deal with it if you will. So all in all, it was an experience. It was experience. You're 1,000% right, Brenda. I was very excited about his language. He's very vocal, very smart, charismatic, had a clear-cut plan. But unfortunately, when it came to implementing the plan, 2 days in when we actually saw each other, it bailed and imploded. And he even said that I feel hypocritical that the game plan I gave you, I forfeited my own self, right? I understand. But it's too late. I'm sorry, sir. I can't do that again because you can't. I'm not going to sign up twice, for it. And sometimes you just got to recognize, wow, if you can do that in 2 days, a promise you were making for 30 years, the discipline ain't there, right? And you got to be a person of your word. Even if you would have sat me down and said, here's why I'm upset, or here's what happened. And I get it because we were in close proximity. For him and you, because I had already made up my mind. Well, I'm gonna wait till I get home. I don't really know him. I don't know how upset he might be. So I'm not gonna have the most serious conversation that we've ever had in his presence. So I was like, well, when I get home and I'm safe in my own spot, we can jump on, Zoom like we've been doing, or whatever, a duo, and have that conversation. But that wasn't it. That he gave me the silent treatment. I'm like, what's happened between the time we went to bed and woke up? This is why your village is important. because you can have people in your ear telling you whatever they told them to do got weird and now canceled everything. And I'm supposed to sit in your apartment till 4 o'clock till my train come and watch you do chores. Who does that? Especially to the woman you saying you want to marry, you trying to convince me to have more kids. So who you are in front of them and who you presented to the person, I know he was on it, and who you are in front of them, the potential person you're dating, and who you are in front of your boys and your girls, you might be downplaying it. So they're giving you advice based off of who you are being in front of them, right? Which may not match for the maturation of where the relationship is. So now you're acting like they're telling you to, but it doesn't match. So now you and I are totally thrown off, right? You and them are totally thrown off. So it's really important that the village you had is tight knit in your circle that you can really be real with. Like, I'm feeling this dude. Because Brenda was saying what she was saying. I was like, I understand, Brent, but I'm feeling this dude. I really want to go check it out. It's going to be what it's going to be. Let me go see. We'll regroup when I get back. All right, Brenda? Right? So,
but I think that's a valid point too. And that goes back to choices, because you can have a village all day long that's telling you don't do it, because just like your village is saying something, his village is saying something. The relationship goes between the two of you. And I would say this, as you're online dating, ladies and gentlemen, take it slow, give yourself some grace, and be okay if it doesn't turn out the way you expect. And the most important thing I want to read is don't take it personally if you can. Yes, you're going to have hurt feelings, but don't stay in the hurt, because it doesn't do you any good. It doesn't do the other person any good. Once you decide there is something that does not feel right for me, I don't feel safe, or I'm just not feeling like this is a relationship I want to continue to pursue. Don't villainize each other. Just chalk it up to you're not a match and keep it moving and figure out who is, because I do believe that there is somebody out there that is going to be the perfect match for that gentleman. Just like there's somebody out there that's going to be the perfect match for you. And the two of you just haven't found them yet, but you're not that match for each other. With that, Robin, what are your final wrap-up thoughts?
Well, I appreciate everybody's experience and understanding, and I appreciate the fact that this was either a lesson taught or a lesson bought, and it was money well spent and time well earned in learning what you did not like, and you can keep the pointers and the identifiers for the next time. And if if one of those red flags pops up, or a situation of someone says something that seems too familiar of that situation, you mark it down and you say, okay, if this is not a good thing for me, I'm gonna give it 1, 2, 3, and then I'm gonna flee. I'm gonna get out of it.
I like that.
But if you're willing to try, because the thing is, if you don't give up hope and you're still willing to try, you will find the love at the end of the rainbow. And I'm gonna land.
I love it. I'm definitely not giving up hope. I love. I'm a Scorpio now. Let's not get it twisted. And I'm celibate because ain't nobody to celebrate with. That's the only.
There you go. There you go.
And you know what, Focus? I also want to say, I want to give you your props, because for even when the things came out that were so hurtful, that you never stopped being who you are with me, that you did not want to go on here and throw this man under the bus or do whatever. You were ready to have a teaching moment. You were willing to sit in it, even though you were hurt and disappointed. And I applaud you for that. And I want to remind the gentlemen and the ladies out there, when you are dating someone, do not expect them to be in their professional capacity, even if they are a coach, a life coach, a business coach, a love coach, or whatever coach they are. Take them for the person that they are, because when they are coming to meet you, they're coming to meet you. They're coming to love you, and they're hoping for a connection. And if the connection doesn't happen, be okay and just say thank you for the beautiful memories and keep it moving. And let's be civil and respectful to each other, because we're all on this journey. Trying to find that person. Life is too short to live in a negative. And as I always say, the choices you make today will be the reality you live tomorrow. So choose wisely and choose the love like there's no heartbreak. And don't give up because you didn't find your love match this time, because next time you may find the right one. We blessed everybody. We'll see you next time. We're going to have more girl talk because I think we need
that was so good.
Come down.
Bye, y'all.